So today we're into the Cold War, and well, we've talked about communism, socialism, and what happened is that over here we had the Soviet Union, aka Russia nowadays, and the other side of the globe we had the US, we have the United States. And so they had a common enemy, Germany, which is about here. Was totally wrong. Here, Germany. And so they fought, and Russia came all the way to Berlin, which is the capital. Where is the capital? Berlin. Uh, and the US came all the way also to Germany. And so now that they didn't have a common enemy, it was communists against socialists. And the US, had the nuclear power and all of that, why the Cold War happened. And now we have little wars. And so over here, where? Over here, Japan, where's Japan? Down here is Japan. Or up here, damn. But near Japan, here, Japan had made incursions in China, but in here, now we have a split. In China, lately there's been lately when that happened, the war, Cold War, North Korea was supported by the Chinese, which were communist, by and so we had Kim Il-sung against Ri Syngman. Yeah. And they were backed up by the United States, and North Korea was backed up by China and the Soviet Union. And so they were like 3 years of intense battling. And so what happened? They had this dispute between both of them. And so on the 38th parallel, which is here in Seoul, around Seoul, right here, they said, let's not divide, but let's say that we cannot pass from the 38th parallel, nor you can trespass, right? The 38th parallel. And so they began putting troops here on the south and on the north, and that continued until but the North Koreans had way more soldiers than the South Koreans. And so what they did, they trespassed the 38th parallel. And so they went all the way down until this until here, this Busan area over here. And yeah, the South Koreans couldn't hold on. And so the US came in to help. But they didn't have, at that time, they had a great commander called Douglas MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur, the guy with the big pipe. Yep. He was he was in the Philippines War and the Japanese War, and he was the general that won, right? And he has a picture. With a Japanese leader that they show the General Douglas MacArthur, and we can see the disparity. They made him because the Chinese thought that they were invincible, and so Douglas MacArthur made that picture. All right, but then they had a base in Japan, and so they helped the Korean and went all the way. Actually, not all the way. What they were holding here in Busan, and they made a naval attack because they had superior naval on here on Incheon. I don't know how you say that, but it was an amphibious attack in the Bay of Incheon. And where is Incheon? Is over here, right about uh, here. Where is it? Incheon. Yeah, on this bay over here. Well, it's near Seoul, but all right. And they won, and then they rolled upwards until North Korea, until very up high. But then China came back, and they stood in here in the middle. And that war took 3 years. They lost many men, and they started where they left, where they first began. And so, yeah, this was happening here. And when the war ended, the U.S. had bombs on Italy and in Turkey, and they were pointed towards towards Russia. And so they were like, they were not enemies, but if anything, they would just like press a button and it would have a missile attack from Italy all the way to Russia, which is pretty damn far, but all right. And the Russians were obviously not afraid, but they were um, they felt like they were in danger. And so what did they do? Around here in the U.S. backyard, in Cuba, there was a revolution. Fidel Castro, and I keep messing with Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, but all right. Fidel Castro, he made a revolution, and the rich people, oh, wait, the rich people, they escaped from Cuba to Florida, and here only the poor people stayed. And they actually kind of, I don't know if that's true, but they started liking Fidel Castro, but he was a bad dictator. But the poor guys, the poor people was here, and Cuba wanted like to expand powers and all of that, and so they asked backup from the Soviet Union because they were also like communist, and the Soviet Union brought in missiles to Cuba, and they found out that because of the U-2 spy plane, the U.S. Oh, and that in that time, lucky you too. In that time, there was like a arms race and a space race also. Like they were the USSR was trying to match up with the US technology, but they could outthrown in a few aspects, but they couldn't keep up with the US. And so Fidel Castro, all right. And now the US was like, hold up. That Cuban thing, they can kill us. I mean, they can just press a button and they're way closer to us. And they didn't like that. So what they did, they said that they had to take these missiles out and that the US would take their missiles out. But nothing happened. And so they made an invasion, but they didn't make like the CIA invasion. They said they didn't want to do that because they wanted to do incognito. And so they recruited these Cuban exiled people and then came in. Here is Guantanamo Bay. There's a famous song about this bay, actually about a woman from this place. Here is Havana. And here, around here, is the Bay of Pigs, right here. And they made an invasion here. And they fought like, but they only had Cubans. And so they weren't too good. And they They could advance a little bit, but then were brought back. And now they had 1,000,000 prisoners, and they had to pay off to get these 1,000,000 prisoners back. And so it was a disaster. In JFK, when Kennedy was president, and after a little time of like talk, they finally took off their missiles, and it wasn't mutually assured destruction. But it kept on with the Vietnam. But we are going to study about that in another video.